The story opens deep within Lemnian Hollow, where Sarah quietly bends Shi Wen's thoughts, convincing him that the creator can sever Shangguang's bond with the Qingming sword and save her. She even reveals Ye Shi Wen's so-called true form.
你的愿望会由它实现。
我的愿望
是啊，藏在你梦魇深处的，你最怕面对的。你不惜一切代价也想要阻止的，与最可怖的后果相伴。哥哥，你的愿望是不让这一幕真的发生，而始主于我的权柄，能让你最深的恐惧散归于无。我只是让你至此不再受梦魇侵袭，想要斩断你妹妹与那把剑的联系，始主才是你唯一的希望。
小光，
Meanwhile, life at Suibian Temple remains calm. When you hear chatter outside, you assume Yi Xuan has finally returned, but it's only Ye Shangguang offering divinations to visitors. She slipped away from Yunkui Summit once again with Bolian. For some reason, she isn't allowed to leave the summit, and after traveling through Weifei for some time, her money ran out. So she returns to the temple for help. Since Suibian Temple is practically her second home, you welcome her in. She also asks that you keep her identity secret from the other disciples. Your conversation is soon cut short by an urgent shout from outside. A miner, old Zhao, begs for help. Some miners, and one of Ban Yue's apprentices, are trapped in the old mining site, swallowed by miasma. That location is also where Ye Shi Yuan and Sarah were last seen. Shangguang insists she can handle the situation alone, urging you to stay behind for your own safety. But you reveal your identity as Proxy Phaeton, assuring her you're more than capable of helping. She also shares a personal reason for getting involved. Both she and her brother have a history with Ban Yue, and she refuses to sit still knowing his apprentice is in danger. Before leaving, you try contacting Ban Yue, but there's no response. Fairy reports that he is already somewhere inside Lemnian Hollow. Inside the mining site, you run into Dialin, who is helping a Porcelamex manager. You recruit her for the rescue.
救救我！
收到，青青，再救了，再救了。哎，青青，请为本次服务满分好评，并把之前的投诉和差评删掉哦，否则。
Deeper within, you find one of the trapped miners, who directs you to someone stuck at the bottom of a cliff, Ban Yue's apprentice. While clearing the ethereal blocking the way, you encounter an exaltist remnant. Neither you nor Shangguang can get information out of him, but once Dialin steps in, he cracks. He reveals that Sarah sent him to search for an ancient array. He also speaks of Sarah's new ability, a power that lets her reverse sacrifices, something bestowed by the creator after Mevhorok's death. She used that very power on Ye Shi Yuan to free him from his nightmare. The remnant also mentions someone shadowing her, and you immediately realize it must be Shi Yuan. Not wanting Shangguang to worry, you steer the conversation back to the rescue mission. At the cliff bottom, you saved Ban Yue's apprentice, Ning Qian. As you leave, a mysterious figure watches from above. It was Zhao. On the way out, waves of ethereal attack. Dialin fights them off, but a strange voice disrupts her concentration. Ban Yue arrives just in time, shielding her from a fatal blow and helping finish the battle.
真是没完没了，打包全部解决掉。我在这里啊！
听无数王者的声音，为什么不听一听自己内心的呼喊呢？
得救了，是白月师傅。
Once the danger passes, he immediately scolds Ning Qian and gives him a punishment. During the chatter that follows, Dialin brings up the sword case Sheng Guang is carrying. That's when you realize the Qingming's sword is inside. You feel guilty for involving her in combat, but Sheng Guang reassures you that the special case Yi Xuan crafted shields her from its influence. This is also why she needs permission to leave Yunkui's summit. Dialin leaves early due to another obligation. With the miners rescued, everyone exits the hollow. But Dialin later returns. On her way, she heard the anguished pleas of someone doubting Ye Shiyuen's devotion and begging for mercy from Sarah. Looks like I've stumbled onto another secret, she muses. Her true reason for returning is to rendezvous with Zhao, her senpai and supervisor. Zhao reminds her to stay focused on her mission, retrieving that thing. It is the heart of the Purge unit, Type 0, Ban Yue's core. Zhao also questions the truth Dialin has been searching for, a truth that somehow involves Ban Yue. Back at the temple, you finally tell Sheng Guang her brother's situation. Later, you question the Exaltist remnant again. He explains that Sarah brought an old book from an antique market in Faelyum Heights, something tied to the ancient array she is seeking. You decide to investigate the market the next morning. Ning Qian claims he will hand the remnant over to the defense force, but he never does. Secretly, he is working with Sarah and releases the remnant instead. That night, everyone retires for rest. Elsewhere, Shi Yuan asks why he cannot suppress his form after she erased his nightmare. She explains that the Creator's authority forces all things into their true state, including him. She insists the Creator can free both siblings. Determined to save Sheng Guang, Ye Shiyuan agrees to help her awaken the Creator. In another place in the depth of Lemnian Hollow, something unknown is stirring in the darkness. A mysterious Bangbu is praying for salvation. Morning arrives, and Ning Qian comes with news from the porcelain market. Sarah had brought a damaged ancient tome to Ginger for restoration. Since it was beyond his ability to repair, he referred her to a collector named Biao. When you visit Biao's address, he is arguing with a woman from Tops. His home is set for eviction in 3 days. When asked about the tome, he claims Tops confiscated everything. Not in the mood for more questions, he sends you away. Dialin then appears, chats briefly, leaves, and returns with the ancient tome. It wouldn't be surprising if she had a hand in that eviction notice. The tome describes divine purification, an ancient array capable of absorbing miasma and suppressing evil spirits. Hearing this, Sheng Guang perks up. She and Shu Yuan heard about it from their parents long ago. That's when you learn their parents have passed away. They were travelers who settled in Weifei to help miners and built a residential area near the mines. But the outbreak 10 years ago took their lives. Ban Yue knew them and used to help the miners too. He also watched over the siblings before entrusting them to Yi Xuan. Sheng Guang also mentions Shu Yuan's childhood nightmares, visions of their parents being killed by a monstrous miasma figure. Nightmares that faded only after they moved to Yunkui's summit. Then, Ning Qian quietly remarks, "It isn't just the miasma that can lead to people's death." His words cause an uneasy silence. Memories flood Ban Yue's mind, memories of the siblings' parents' final moment. After reading more of the tome, it becomes clear Sarah and Shu Yuan are searching for the ancient array in the old mining site, a crucial step to awakening the Creator. Still unsure of its exact location, you decide to speak with survivors of the outbreak in Seilum Bay. There, you meet the miner previously rescued with Ning Qian, who tells you that someone else also asked about the array recently. Talking to the locals, you notice their cold hostility toward Banyue. The atmosphere shifts uncomfortably, so you decide to return. Though the survivors offer little direct information, it's enough to confirm the array's existence. You next investigate the residential area where the siblings once lived. At the bridge leading to the old residential area, Shengguang remembers someone saving her and Shu Yuan, but not who it was. At the entrance stand 2 lion statues. Banyue recalls helping the locals 10 years ago and receiving gifts in gratitude. And that is the moment when Banyue's command to suppress miasma at all cost got overridden. His core emotion module permanently activated and rebirth as human being. Back in the present, you glimpse a vision of Sarah and Ye Shuyuan behind a sealed gate. The array must be beyond it, but Shengguang refuses to break the lock. So you split up to look for the passcode. Downstairs, you find Dialin on a swing in the playground, leading to a strange but heartfelt conversation. Then you check on Banyue, who hears eerie whispers and sees white flowers that dissipate miasma, suggesting the flowers are directing the miasma somewhere. Nearby, you see another vision of Shu Yuan. Seems like he was waiting for something. Then a sacrifice ambushes you, one unlike any before, focused on Banyue and Dylan. After defeating it, an eerie voice echoes. Miasma thickens and memories overwhelm Dialin. She recalls living with Auntie Fong's community, who chose to sacrifice one person through drawing lots when the hollow threatened them. Dialin was the unlucky one, thrown into the hollow. There, she overheard voices calling the ritual was a scam. You snap her out of the illusion, just as Banyue falls into his own. Not wanting to risk further mental attacks, everyone returns to the temple. At the temple, Shengguang finally reveals her identity and everything that has been happening. The seniors insist she stay out of tomorrow's investigation and ask you to remain with her. That night, Ning Qian meets privately with Sarah. His motive for revenge against Banyue becomes clear, and he is prepared to die with him. Morning arrives, and Shengguang seems downcast. Since you've been ordered to stay with her until Yixuan returns, you invite her for a walk and gift her a casual outfit. You take her to Yumcha Sin for tea and osmanthus cake. She talks about her brother, believing he has his reasons for siding with Sarah. She also plans to cook dinner for everyone as thanks. On the way back, you meet Song Tao and Qing Yuan returning from their investigation. They found leads on the ancient array and assigned disciples to guard the area. Elsewhere in Phalium Heights, Dialin and Zhao share intel on Sarah. She grew up in an orphanage near the Hollow, disappeared after it shut down, reappeared briefly, then vanished again. When she resurfaced, she was already with the Exaltist. Before that, she frequently visited the Hand headquarters, claiming she belonged to a special investigation squad. Records of that squad, and even her own existence, were erased. Zhao then explains the array's function. It requires a key, a massive amount of ether, trapping whoever activates it. She suggests a method for Dialin's mission: use Banyue as the key and recover the core after he collapsed. That evening, everyone gathers for Shengguang's banquet. Before it begins, you check on Banyue. He feels Shengguang is planning something dangerous and begs you to talk her out of it. Dialin joins in, questioning his concern. She reveals his past as Type 0, the miasma suppression machine created by Tops. After a failed mission, he was discarded, and it was a resident, Ning Qian's sister, who saved him. But during the outbreak, he let many die, including the siblings' parents and Ning Qian's sister. That is why the survivors in Seilum Bay resent him. She challenges him with harsh questions about whether he has truly changed or is simply following programming. Overwhelmed, he stays silent until Shengguang interrupts, asking for his assistance. Dialin promises not to tell her what she uncovered, but she confides her mission to you. Her final judgment will determine Ban Yue's fate. Putting that aside, you return to Shengguang and confront her about the decision Ban Yue mentioned. She told you about a letter left at her door, supposedly from Shi Yuan, but she doubts it's really him, thinking it's bait. She shares more about his past experiments, how he once tried to shift the sword's effects onto himself until Yixuan stopped him. Even with the seal, she knows her brother's nightmares never left him, which is why she's determined to go. And she believes he has a plan and isn't simply surrendering to Sarah or the Creator. Finally, everything's ready, and everyone enjoy the evening with light chat and warm foods. The next morning, you wake to a commotion. You saw Song Tao sat on the ground next to Temple's gate. He explains that miasma suddenly erupted last night, trapping the disciples. With time running out, you head out immediately. Before you leave, Dialin rushes in, says she can't reach Ban Yue and Ning Qian is missing. She also told you about her suspicion towards Ning Qian, revealing that his sister was one of the victims of the outbreak, amongst the people Ban Yue left to die. Sarah must have exploited his grief and anger, offering revenge. Every clue, every lead, everything was crafted to lure Ban Yue into becoming the array's key. At the residential area, you find Qing Yuan near the lion statue. She says Ban Yue helped everyone escape, then went deeper and got trapped. Reviewing Bolion's recording, you discover Ning Qian lured Ban Yue into activating the array, trapping them both. Inside, Ning Qian begs Ban Yue to stop resisting and let them die, like Ban Yue let his sister die years ago. He also reveals his sister was the one who saved Ban Yue after he was discarded by Tops, and questions why Ban Yue didn't return the favor. But Ban Yue refuses to give up. Fairy detects multiple energy nodes powering the array. You split up to disable them. While splitting up, Dialin accidentally frees Yixuan's Qingming bird trapped inside a miasma tumor, confirming Shi Yuan has been trying to communicate with Yixuan. After disabling the nodes, Dialin and Ban Yue fight side by side to clear the remaining ethereals. Ban Yue breaks down and prepares to surrender his core, but Dialin refuses. She uses her power to help him hear the truth.
事情还没结束，就落得这副凄惨的模样。
就到此为止吧，我的核心，你拿去吧。
拿到东西交差似乎也不错，但我现在有了新的选择。这一次，就让王者之语给你一个继续存在下去的真相吧。
Waves of resentment flood his mind. Then softer voices follow. Shengguang's parents, Ning Qian's sister, pleading for him to save their loved ones. Dialin convinces him to keep living. So does Shengguang and Ning Qian, who have changed heart after hearing his sister's voice. Then Ning Qian reveals that Ye Shi Yuan left a message for Ban Yue. Find a Qingming bird, the one Dialin has freed. Just as you prepare to search for Shi Yuan, Sarah appears. Amid the confrontation, another figure emerges, Ye Shi Yuan himself. Determined to save his sister, he tells everyone to stop following. Naturally, no one listens. With Fairy's help, you track them. At the ritual site, Shi Yuan confronts Sarah about breaking their agreement and involving Shengguang. She replies that both siblings are needed for the Creator's descent. After chanting, an enormous Exaltus symbol lights up, and the Creator's voice echoes. Shi Yuan seizes the chance to attack, injuring Sarah in the process. As she lies on the ground, she continues to pray and unveils her past. Once a member of a special investigation squad, she was wounded and stranded during an operation. Rescued by the scribe, former Exaltist overseer, she returned to the Hand only to find her squad erased from all records. Even her name was deleted. Feeling betrayed and have nowhere else to go, she devoted herself entirely to the Exaltist. Back in the present, she reaches toward the sky as miasma engulfs the area and drags Shi Yuan underground. Your group arrives moments too late and fights a monster Sarah had summoned.
这股气息变得更浓烈了，那个施主又回来了。
哥哥，一定要等我！哥哥，
小果，
这是什么东西？不论你是谁，把我的哥哥还给我！
When it falls, Shi Yuan, now controlled by the creator, injects it with more power. After defeating both, Shi Yuan traps everyone in a miasma barrier except Sheng Guang. Facing with difficult choices, Sheng Guang decided to use the Qingming sword and freed everyone. When Shi Yuan trying to use the same trick on her, Sheng Guang changed her form and sliced open the barrier and finally defeated him.
还是不敢拔剑吗？再逃下去，你的同伴至今都会葬身于此。
哥哥，
有些抉择是我们必须承担的责任，做我们应该做的事情。我信任你，就像你信任我那样。终于，
如果今天被操控的是我，相信哥哥一定会做出同样的选择吧。小光，你信任我，就像我信任你这样，我似乎不那么害怕了。
封印一切，很好。
哥哥，
这份力量我就收下了。怎么会？
区区邪祟，也敢妄言！我乃云亏山青冥剑剑主叶顺光，此剑既出，天地为引，荡尽诸邪。
小光，我已经知道了。
这个声音，我是成功把哥哥带回来了。
原谅我再次离开，一定要等我，信我，我一定会救你的，一定会。
哥哥。
You tell her that Shi Yuan regained himself before disappearing again. Worried about her, you ask how she feels. As expected, she says she's fine, but that night, the sword's effects begin eroding her memories. I'd say Dialin mission is success. While she failed to recover the core, she successfully made Ban Yue to join Krampus. A better outcome, I suppose. And that's the story of patch 2.4. Yi Xuan still hasn't shown up, Sarah seems fused with the creator, and Shi Yuan has vanished once more. I really enjoyed this chapter, especially the new boss fight music. I'm curious how they'll top that final cutscene, since patch 2.5 seems to be the finale. I also wonder if Ye Shi Yuan will sacrifice himself later, though knowing Hoyo, probably not. So what do you think? How do you see this story wrapping up?
这些回忆一定不可以忘记，一定不可以。师父、哥哥、林和哲，还有大家，那些多美好的事情，我一定会记得，一定不可以忘记。